everybody, thanks for watching. I'm Chris. You may or may not have noticed that in December we'll be posting 2 shows per week, Mondays and Thursdays. We've shown you a lot of film on a lot of guys that you're considering for your fantasy playoffs, and we will continue to do so. We're going to find the relevant guys we haven't looked at and hopefully help you with your lineups and get you a fantasy title this year. And who better to talk about at the top of today's show than Steelers rookie running back Jaylen Samuels, who will at least have a share of the starting load, if not the starting load himself, with James Conner hurt in Week 14. So what I'm showing you here are Jaylen Samuels' college numbers at NC State. He was an H-back. He lined up more not at tailback than at tailback. And in 2017, Colts rookie Nyheim Hines was very clearly the starting tailback. Before that, it was Matt Days. Samuel was not a running back, right? He was an H-back. And at this winter's combine, he ran with the tight ends. But at 5'11", 225, he was never going to be a full-time NFL tight end. It's too small. He caught 75 passes last year. Look at that number. Look at all those receptions there. That was his calling card for the league. And in fact, Jaylen Samuels didn't touch the ball until Week 8 against the Browns when he got a few carries at the end of the game. And this first action, I think you'll see him, well, mostly protecting the ball in the rain. You can see he has some mass to him, and he isn't all that fun to tackle once he's going downhill. He changes direction when he sees the chance to cut upfield. I think pretty clearly this is not a dynamic, springy kind of run. Now the next week against the Ravens, just a couple carries, this one stood out to me. I'd like to think he's a strong running back at 225, but seeing a defensive lineman reach into the hole and bring him down with one hand is interesting. Doesn't doom him forever, but a dude who's generating power right at the line, maybe he should break that tackle.
No scooch. 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 No scooch. Now that's a scooch.
Yeah.
No scooch. Scooch. No scooch. You need a scooch.
Yeah.
Okay, back at it with Jaylen Samuels. Just one more run I want to show you. Listen, he has 12 carries all year. I can't really tell you what he is as an NFL runner yet with such limited action, and I'm not harshly penalizing him here because he only got 1 yard. But if we take it from the end zone view, if we freeze it right as Samuels approaches the line, I mean, you see a hole to the left of him and you see a hole to the right of him, and Samuels kind of does nothing. Like, it's a fast game in the NFL. These holes close fast. But it felt like that was a fair amount of room by NFL standards to get a run going, and you didn't see decisiveness or burst or acceleration. He just sort of wet farted into tacklers. I think, frankly, this is what we're more interested in. Samuels as a receiver. Not that he does anything amazing with this, right? It's a turn around and catch a 1 yard special. But out in the open field, once he's away from those initial tacklers, you can see him start to get a little acceleration going and start to get north-south pretty well. Same game against the Panthers, and it's a blowout now, but Samuels gets his first career touchdown. Basically the same play. It's an H-back play, right? The magic of the H-back is that, well, he's a better and more dynamic open field runner than a lot of tight ends. And if you can get him in the clear, he still can punish someone. He's big enough to do that. Actually, mostly he's punished here by Luke Kuechly, but still, he scores. This one's interesting against the Broncos. Here he's actually split out into the left slot, and the Steelers go empty. And again, quick pass. Samuels hasn't run a lot of complicated routes at this point, but get it to him. He makes a man miss. This was a 3rd and short early in the game, and he does, in fact, convert. And then on this one, Sunday night, ties the game against the Chargers late in the game. Out of the backfield, just run a little delay and a very short crossing route. Be sure-handed and then run like crazy to the pylon. He's not super fast, but I don't know. In many ways, as I said on the podcast on Thursday, this is sort of an old style position. This is sort of like the old receiving fullback, and there's a little juice there. If I'm going to compare him to old style players, it's like Larry Centers, Richie Anderson, that old style fullback, much different than the fullback now. I mean, since the turn of the century, didn't Richie Anderson have like a 75 catch season or a 90 catch season or something ridiculous? Larry Centers used to do that all the time. Or like Keith Byers from our childhood, like kind of a running back, kind of a tight end. When I'm looking at Samuels' film, and there's not enough of it to really make absolute conclusions, but I'm not really seeing a super talented running back. As a running back, I'm sort of seeing him as a ball carrier. He's a lot like Stephen Ridley, the guy he's going to share the Steelers' backfield with. And as such, does that excite me to think about, let's say he's, I don't know, Stephen Ridley crossed with Charles Clay, something like that. Like, that's okay. That could be fun. For the long term, I don't think he's a star. For this week, I rated him 20th among running backs in standard, 16th in PPR. I think 15 touches against the Raiders is possible, and I think he'll get you 68 yards, and then it's a question of whether he gets you a touchdown or not. I think he's a talented player in the open field. Not a great player, but for this week, useful. All right, let's check out Week 14, the week in handicapping. Well, as it turned out, taking those huge underdogs last week was golden. The Cardinals won outright in Green Bay, and the Raiders stayed close to the Chiefs. Nevertheless, 7-7 week. Just so-so. And as always, these lines I'm showing you represent the Vegas Super Contest lines, and the 5 games that you see with an asterisk here are the 5 where my own projected line differed most from the Super Contest line. In particular, Miami giving 7.5 at home, some places up to 8. I don't think the Dolphins are good. I don't think they're terrible, and for me, the Patriots don't win back all of our trust because of one nice win at home over the Vikings. I think that game is a little bit of a rock fight, and yeah, I think I'm on Miami there. As always, feel free to pause and see which games look best to you. Okay, let's wrap up the week in style. I'll show you 5 more things I saw on film as I was watching all the film from week 13, things that'll help us with our fantasy playoff lineups, or maybe just things that are kind of fun. So I wanted to show you a snippet of Jordan Howard on a 25-yard gain against the Giants. We will take 25-yard gains. I have nothing personal against Jordan Howard, but I want to rewind this play and watch it from the end zone so that we can ask ourselves, how repeatable is something like this? Out of shotgun, an inside handoff, the left guard pulls, and kind of a stalemate between the two lines there, which happens. So Howard approaches the line, and okay, I give him credit for stopping, for seeing it, for slowly shuffle stepping left, and the Giants have lost contain, and he rumbles around the left edge. Let's go back and watch it again, and pay attention to Giants safety Landon Collins, number 21 there. Does Landon Collins keep disciplined? Does he keep contain? Well, he does not, and my only point in showing this is to say all 25-yard runs are not created equally. I give Howard credit for seeing it eventually, but it's a hard way to live, stopping at the line and then sort of slowly shuffling outside and hoping that there's no contain. Okay, how about a little Devante Parker? And no, I don't think you can feel great about starting Devante Parker in your fantasy playoffs. I've been very much off of his train all year, but why do people who watch film keep getting tempted by Parker? It's plays like this on the opening drive against Buffalo. Ryan Tannehill takes a hit to make the throw, and then look at Parker running to the post into the teeth of a zone. He lays out, he stretches to his full 6'3", he throws his full 220 pounds, and he knows there's going to be a safety standing there in a zone to make a big hit, and it is a beautiful catch. Look at him hang in the air like that. He's a frustrating guy, and if he ever put it together, he's the kind of guy who could go on a string of great games. Tough to predict, though. Okay, this one is just categorized as funny because nobody's using Chris Ivory in a fantasy playoff game, but this is the softest fumble I remember from this season. I mean, fine, I think he tangles his feet with Josh Allen, but why are you windmilling your arm so that you knock the ball out of your own hands? He got it back. It made me chuckle. You want to know why I'm always raving on the podcast about Jarvis Landry as a player, using him in DraftKings, that kind of thing? Okay, this is the fourth quarter of a blowout, but take a look at Landry haul this one in with one hand, thrown behind him, a huge hit. Sort of the hit accidentally smooshes the ball right back into Landry's stomach. Jarvis Landry is small. He's not even all that fast. Man, is that dude quick, and is he a gamer. And lastly, I thought I'd do a bit of an update with a couple plays from Dalvin Cook from Sunday. Now, I've been saying on the podcast and showing you here on this channel, boy, is Dalvin Cook cutting like he did last year. And I watch all the film, and I didn't think that he had been, but in this game, for sure. This was the best that I've seen him look this year. The box score numbers in previous games have been fine, but the thing I was worried might be missing was like the vector changes, the hard cuts. And in this game, they were not missing. So either I was being oversensitive and cutting hard just sort of hadn't come up on his runs, or Dalvin Cook's legs are getting back to healthier, because this was really good stuff. And as a result, I have Dalvin Cook number 11 in my fantasy running back ranks for the week. It's the highest that I've had him since September. It's not an easy matchup against Seattle for sure, but I think I feel pretty comfortable that he looks right, which is the first time I've been able to say that in a few months. All right, so remember, you can keep up with the podcast. Even though we're only on twice a week here in December, I'm still making 5 podcasts a week all the way through the fantasy playoffs. And of course, check out harrisfootball.com, and you can find my ranks, which I will update all week leading into week 14. Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button, write a comment, tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on, and of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button, and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.